Okay, you have a rectangular page, and this rectangular page is to contain 24 square inches of print. Okay, so there's writing here on this inside part. It tells me that there are 24 square inches of print. Okay, so I got that part. It also tells me that the margins at the top and the bottom are each 1.5 inches. So this little distance right here is 1.5 inches, and this little distance right here is 1.5 inches. It also tells me that the margins on the side are 1 inch. So this blue piece right here is 1 inch, and this piece is 1 inch. The question says, what should the dimensions of the page be so that the least amount of paper is used? Okay, so I see the word least, so that's going to be minimum. And we want the area of the paper. Okay, the paper is the outside rectangle. Well, I can't really tell what I'm going to call X and Y or L and W yet because I've got so many rectangles going on. So I tell you what, let's just go ahead and move and work inside out, and then we'll get that outside rectangle in just a second. Here's the inside rectangle. The only thing I know about this inside rectangle is first it's a rectangle and it has area of 24 square inches. Well, area is length times width. So let's call this side here width, and let's call this side here the length. And what I'll know about this particular piece is, just like with any rectangle, if you said length times width, you're going to get the area, which was 24 square inches. Now then, let's look back at what we called the outside rectangle. I'll color it in light green. When it says least area, this is what I'm trying to minimize, this outside green area. So let's see if we can come up with a formula for that. If I start here at the top, I'm going to go down 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to go down L inches, and then I'm going to go down another 1.5. So this red side here is 1.5 plus L plus 1.5. So this outside here would be 3 plus L. So the long side of this rectangle would be 3 plus L. Okay? Now, let's color the other side in blue. Let's go across here. If I start here and I go across 1, this distance here is W. So I go across W, and then I go across 1. So this side here would be 1 plus W plus 1. So this side would be W plus 2. So the area that I am trying to minimize is this crazy red and blue formula that you see here. We want to minimize the outside area. All right. Now, we can't do that the way it looks right now because we have more than one variable. So just like we've been doing all the rest of the time, we need to transfer this to one variable. Now, every other one I've done, I've solved for L, so I'll do the same thing here. If I get L by itself, I'll divide both sides by W, and L would equal 24 over W. So coming to my formula over here, I get 3 plus L, which is 24 over W, and W plus 2. Now I can't really deal with it in this form, so I need to FOIL it out, multiply it out, distribute. So I get 3W plus 6. When I multiply this piece in the middle, the W's cancel out, so that would be 24. And when I multiply this last one, it would be 48 over W. So my area formula would be 3W plus 30 plus 48 over W. Now we have to maximize that, in this case minimize, sorry. So area equals 3w plus 30 plus 48 over w. Okay, the computer's playing a little trick on me. Let me double check. 3w plus 30 plus 48 over w. That looks great. Now I can't take the derivative yet because that w is in the bottom. So I'll bring it up to the top. When I bring it up to the top, it makes that exponent negative. Taking the derivative, I'm going to get 3, the derivative of 30 is 0, minus 48 w to the negative 2. So that derivative equals 3 minus 48 over w squared. That's my derivative. Now, what we have to do with that derivative is we have to set it equal to 0. But before we can set it equal to 0, we need a common denominator. So to get a common denominator, I'll put a w squared in the bottom, which means I have to put 1 in the top. So simplifying this out, we would get 3w squared minus 48 over w squared. Now we have a common denominator and we can put them together. So to see where the derivative equals 0, we would set the top piece equal to 0. To see where the derivative is undefined, we would set the bottom piece equal to 0. Solving this out, we could factor the 3. We have the difference of squares. We could divide both sides by 3 to cancel it out, and w would equal 4, and w would equal negative 4, and w would equal 0. So we're going to try 0, 4, and negative 4 as our critical numbers. Okay, let's talk about our domain for just a second. First of all, w was my variable in question, and w is a length, so w has to be greater than or equal to 0. So where I've got this negative 4 here, that's not in my domain. I can throw it out. My length can't be negative here. The second part is that the length has to also be positive. Well, the length is 24 over w. That has to be positive. But what's more important to me there is that you can't divide by 0. See how that w is in the bottom? You can't divide by 0. That would give you something that's undefined. So what I know from this particular part is that w cannot be 0. It would give you an undefined length. So w can't be 0 either. If you multiply, going back to this formula here, if you multiply both sides by w, you get that 24 is greater than or equal to 0 because 0 times w would just be 0. So the only value that you have to worry about here is the 4. That's the only one. So you really don't even have to plug it in. Your minimum value is going to occur at 4. But now, this is the tricky part. It says dimensions of the page. So w equals 4 is not one of your dimensions. Your dimensions of the page are 3 plus L, there's one dimension, and w plus 2, there's the other dimension. Well, I know that w is 4, so this is going to be 4 plus 2, so one dimension will be 6. Okay? Now, we have to find the 3 plus L part. Let's go over here to L. Remember I know that w is 4. So if w is 4, the length is 24 over 4, which would be 6. So my length is 6. So going to the outside part of the page, it would be 3 plus the length, which is 6, so it would be 9. So your dimensions of the page are 9 by 6. And that's how you would work it.